And controversial members early Sunday morning. Tim Richmond, who was successful in both open wheel and stock car racing, lost his long battle with an undisclosed illness in West Palm Beach, Florida. Although many outside the auto racing community will dwell on rumors of drug abuse and speculate on the exact cause of his death, Richmond should first be remembered as someone who accomplished a great deal and became a very popular driver in his short stay in Major League Racing. Tim's career began skyrocketing in 1980 when he won Rookie of the Year honors at Indianapolis. That's the year he hitched a ride back to the pits with winner Johnny Rutherford.
Well, he came running over, and he patted me on the shoulder and said, "Nice job." And I said, "Thank you, get on." And he says, "What?" I said, "Get on, I'll give you a ride." He said, "Oh, okay." So he sat down on the side pod and hung on the roll bar, and I took him to victory lane, and I had always hoped that he would stick with IndyCar racing and maybe win Indianapolis, so I could always tell people that I gave him his first ride to victory lane.
Tim would leave IndyCars, though, to find great success in NASCAR. 1986 was his biggest year. Teaming with car owner Rick Hendrick and crew chief Harry Hyde, Richmond had one of the hottest streaks in NASCAR history. In 12 races, he won 6 and finished second in 4 others. Then, during the winter of '86, Tim became seriously ill with double pneumonia.
Along with his success came a lot of offers, a lot of requests to do appearances, to do endorsements, to do short films, just everything. And my nature was one that, you know, I just didn't say no.
He was in a Cleveland clinic over a month, but recovered enough to return to racing. And he won his first race back at Pocono in mid-June, giving himself and his fans a very emotional triumph.
I couldn't see the checkered flag because I had tears in my eyes. When I took the checkered flag, I knew it was the last lap, and that's why I took that extra lap. I thought all the tears would go away before I got back here, but they didn't.
He backed up the Pocono win with one at Riverside the following week. Michigan, 2 months later, would be his last. He started 25th after being found asleep when it was his turn to qualify. He finished 29th, dropping out with engine failure. He would leave the circuit again, citing fatigue in his continuing bout with pneumonia. But again, Tim attempted a comeback. At Daytona last year, he had secured a ride for the 500, but failed NASCAR's mandatory drug testing program.
When we tested Tim last Thursday, he had a problem. There's no question about it. There was a substance, a prohibited substance in his system, and he didn't have any business on the racetrack. Come Saturday, he tested again. He was clean. We got the results on Monday, and we were able to reinstate his license. The main thing is safety. Keep the guy off the racetrack if he's got a problem. If there isn't any problem, then we don't have a problem.
The dispute didn't end there, however. When Tim and his lawyers failed to provide medical records from that stay in the Cleveland clinic, NASCAR again denied the license. Richmond promptly filed suit against the sanctioning body. The matter was settled out of court earlier this year, but the terms were never made public. Reaction to the death of Tim Richmond has come from all members of the racing community, fellow drivers, and from the car owner with whom Tim achieved his greatest success.
I can just think of tons of times that he just got in a car. I remember when he and Harry went up and competed against Al Holbert's Porsche, and the cover of Road and Track said which one of these cars ran 240 miles an hour. And Tim Richmond ran faster than Al Holbert's 962, ran 242 miles an hour in a Monte Carlo. And it took 7 lanes to keep the car straight. I mean, he was just that courageous in an automobile. And he just, he would have been a champion without a doubt. He just, if you get him, he would always tell us, he said, just get me even and I'll do the rest.
Drivers are a tight-knit group of people that care about each other. You know, we're competitive on the racetrack, but when something happens to somebody, we feel terrible about it. And I feel terrible that's happened to Tim.
He would drive a car into the corner as hard as anybody running. He would watch Earnhardt go into a corner and try to see if he could go 2 or 3 feet further. He had a total reckless abandon of a linebacker out on the racetrack. Not only that, but he was a guy with tremendous charisma. He was wonderful to his fans. He was also a trouble person, a person with a lot of inner conflict. But we all have that. And I think that probably over a period of time he would have worked those conflicts out. And it's just a tragedy to see someone that died so early.
Later in the show, Larry Nuber will join me with some
By
personal...
Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. And by Busch Beer. The beer with a taste as smooth as its name.
Well, Larry Nuber has joined me now with some thoughts on the man who's been on the minds of a lot of people since his death earlier this week, Tim Richmond.
Bob, his story with all of its ripple effects is, I believe, the most difficult one I have covered in racing. As the Winchester, Indiana Speedway announcer back in 1977, I first met him, and I recall it vividly. It was only his 10th race, and he proclaimed that, "You may not know of me now, but I guarantee you soon will." Tim delivered. The first Tim Richmond I knew may have been the most endearing driver I ever met. The second Tim was an elusive personality whose associates and social impact seemed to reach far beyond motor racing. His story began in Ashland, Ohio in 1955, a small town near mid-Ohio. Although he played with go-karts in this field, he never intended to be a professional race driver. The family business was successful. Young Tim was wealthy, charming, and very athletic. By 20, he was a pilot. Then in 1976, a friend introduced him to dirt sprint cars at Lakeville Speedway near his home. Soon his father, Al, bought him a Sprint, beginning 5 straight years of perhaps the most incredible leaps the sport has ever seen.
I thrive on competition. I mean, it's like I'm addicted to competition.
Many will tell you, despite his obvious skills, Tim's smile has left the brightest memory. His grin's influence was mystical. In '77, he became a 22-year-old rookie track champ on Sandusky, Ohio's pavement half, and he was spectacular at that most foreboding track of all, Winchester. Tim's racing career paralleled his life. Undisciplined, yet achieving, life was uncharted, free-spirited, qualities that come with a risk, too. In '79, just 3 years after starting, Tim slithered down inside an Indy machine. And in 1980, this unknown Indy rookie went fast enough on opening day practice to sit on the front row. He was a natural.
I wouldn't mind being a retired race car driver with my picture on that Borg Warner trophy. Might be an ugly picture, but any picture's better than no picture at all on the Borg Warner trophy.
But after several serious IndyCar crashes, he turned to NASCAR. Impulsive is another appropriate adjective, although he funneled that into success. If life is a road course with everyone racing the line, Tim Richmond was the exuberant kid whose freewheeling, undisciplined style was still the fastest. As success in the Richmond legend grew, the second Tim Richmond evolved. Specialized dieting, aerobics, movie acting, all became part of Tim's persona.
Talk to Beetle about that funny car.
He claimed rock stars as close friends rather than racers. The Richmond story is not complete without acknowledging the controversy that sprang from his alleged use of drugs by NASCAR. That resulted in a lawsuit, countercharges, and bizarre statements. Nothing was ever proven, but Tim Richmond was never the same again. Endless rumors about his lifestyle circulated, again, unsubstantiated. But among us here, who should be defined as judge of that anyway? What is true is that Tim originally was very special for motorsports. He was an enormous talent, whose odyssey of life details are not completely known yet. And it's unlikely that he ever imagined getting old. It's a dilemma he'll never have to worry about, like the rest of us, unfortunately.